Hey, it's Drybear. The First Descendant devs have returned from vacation and they're already hitting the ground running with a brand new hotfix and new content coming out tomorrow. Now, we know that there is a second part of Season 1 coming on October 10th. They had already moved forward the date of the third update and moved back the date of the second update, combined them into one for October 10th, which is just now 2 weeks away. So we only have 2 weeks to go for that update, which will have the new Colossus in it. It'll have the rest of Season 1, the vendor that allow you to trade and sell extra blueprints and things you don't need, as well as all the other content that goes along with it, like Ultimate Freyna modules, Haley modules, things like that. But today, they just put out an update saying that they're going to be doing a new hotfix tomorrow on September 26th in the morning, and in this will be a bunch of new stuff that we thought was going to be coming a lot later or may not even be coming at all. So let's dive into this real quick. The first one is good. They're going to be making the invasions public operation, which means you can matchmake invasions starting tomorrow once the hotfix is live. This is something that they said they were working on, and we didn't know whether it was going into the October 10th patch or not, though it didn't really make much sense for it to be anything later than that, because the invasions are only Season 1, and if the public operation is only an option for the first part of Season 1, things get kind of weird. So we have invasion public coming tomorrow, so you can queue with your friends, you can matchmake into the invasion. This is probably going to make the invasion stupid simple. I don't know if they're going to scale or not. If they don't, it's going to be a breeze. Anyone that doesn't like invasions should be presumably able to complete the invasions without any difficulty. They're also going to be adjusting the traps in infiltration operation. What this is probably just going to be the beam traps and some of the explosive traps. They're probably just going to reduce the damage that they deal or how fast they move, or maybe simplify them to make them a little less annoying so they don't just take out your character repeatedly. Additionally, skills for Freyna, Kyle, and SEMO will be improved. So there's a couple things to go over with these three characters in particular. Starting with Freyna, one of the biggest problems that Freyna has is that any of her debuffs, her poison effects, or Room Zero, so she has a special dot called Room Zero, which is a poison effect. She also has a poison dot, and she has persistent deployables from both her 1 and her 3 that stick on the ground and deal damage. The major problem with Freyna in multiple ways is basically a game-wide function for poison in general, where if there is a poison dot effect on the target already, then new applications of poison will be completely nullified. And this is a problem for a few reasons. One, it means that when you have multiple applications of poison, it's wasting that extra effect, right? So if you poison it using the poison on your 1 with a puddle, and then you try to poison it with your 3, or with Fallen Hope, or with any other application of poison, those new applications will just be deleted from the game. They don't exist, all that damage is completely lost. So that's the first problem with it. And the second major problem is not only do the poison effects and the Room Zero trauma effects completely block each other, they also don't have the same value. So you'll notice here that if I have no Transcendent mod on her, my Room Zero trauma on my first ability is skill power times 10.2%. However, if I apply it with my ultimate, my Room Zero trauma is 8 times that value. 8 times the damage from the ultimate version, the unique weapon version of Room Zero. So if I already had Room Zero applied on the target from my first ability and I shot it with my unique weapon, I am now wasting 8 times the value on a new dot that's being completely ignored. So hopefully with the rework tomorrow for Freyna, we're going to see the dots be able to either stack on top of each other with multiple versions, add to each other dynamically with a sliding window, so the amount of damage for the tick gets adjusted based on how many applications there are, or they just have multiple different debuffs. Like rather than stacking, they just have different applications, different values. If the value of the dot is different, you just see a whole bunch of different poison debuffs. The debuff bar might get kind of crazy, but at least you're not missing out on that damage value. So that's a big part of it. Now, there's a question around whether dot classes belong in a game where Bunny can one-shot everything in the game, so that's something that's worth discussing. But in general, I think it's kind of a crime that should be prosecuted, that a dot-based, plague-driven, dot-spreading class can't spread dots at all because the game doesn't allow her to. Now, Kyle has a very different problems from Freyna. It's not that it's like a design problem. I think his design is actually very cool. I think he suffers primarily from shields and their efficacy and availability, though if you run a full shield build for Kyle, it's actually quite effective. There seems to be some issues with how the damage scaling is applied to his abilities. We're not really exactly sure what's causing that, what is the solution. So hopefully they find a bug that we're not aware of that's causing the issue with the scaling. And the other thing that I think he struggles with a lot is going to be terrain. So he is a very like charge focused character. We don't have very many of these. We have jump based characters like jumping jacks. We have like teleporting characters like Valby that can leap out of the ground. And we have Bunny that can just jump around or run around. But Kyle, if you play Kyle, especially with his tackle build on a tech style build Kyle, you'll end up just running into walls constantly. You run into, if you try to like slide up a slope, you'll clip with the slope and you can't hit anything. So there's a lot of weirdnesses around that. So hopefully they make his slide and his dash a lot more dynamic and elegant, so it actually solves that problem and he can hit people, and then also deal with some of the issues that are affecting his scaling and damage as well. Now, additionally, there will be 2 new modules that enhance shield usability added tomorrow as well, which will somewhat help Kyle and even some shield builds that you might be looking at to play with overall. I don't think this will solve inherently the Kyle problem, in that a lot of his damage seems to be way less than you would expect it to be. Outside of just his kit functionality, there just seems to be something weird about the way his damage is applied. I mean, you have some very impressive numbers being shown on these as far as skill power, scaling, all of that, but you're not getting 11,200% scaling on his ultimate, that sort of thing, unless it was the gluttony bug that we knew from a month ago. So there's definitely going to be some questions on whether or not we can get the scaling of his damage proper, some cleanups on the way his abilities move and function, and also maybe some speed ups on some of his builds, like his detonated build, where you use the build up for the magnetic and explode, and hopefully these new shield mods make him a little more viable as well. Then lastly is SEMO, and I think actually at his core, I think there's actually nothing inherently wrong with SEMO or his kit. His damage is actually quite respectable. He seems to function properly. He has things that work with tech and with fusion. He has 2 different builds that you can run and they all function great. The major challenge that I would argue that is SEMO's biggest problem that they hope that they address tomorrow is that he is absolutely bloated with cast animations. If you think about it, you can have multiple stacks of your like heat-seeking mine, up to 3 stacks. You can put down 5 or more stacks of his first ability, and then you have to detonate those with the 2 unless you want to wait for them to end, which means he has to cast his 3 times. He has to cast his 1 5 times. That's 8 cast animations, with a 9th cast animation to do damage, when Bunny just goes and runs around, and those detonations are going off every single tick without her having to do anything. So if they could find some way to have these detonate on their own, or not require the detonation, or maybe have some way for him to place all of his bombs at once instead of having to individually cast and then cast and then cast and then cast. He just has so many cast animations that makes him significantly slower than other characters, not because he can't deal the damage, but because his damage output is so slow because of how many cast animations he has to go through. So I hope this is the first thing they look at when they're fixing up SEMO. They're also going to be adding a new cinematic replay feature that will allow you to replay any of the story cutscenes with your currently equipped character. So this is something that I think a lot of people are asking for. People are still asking for photo mode so they can check out their characters in different poses and stuff like that. But I think this is a great addition because they have a ton of content, like 10 to 15 hours of content in the base campaign for normal mode, and you pretty much, most people played through the normal mode with 1 character. I played through it with base Ajax, which means I saw no face animations, nothing with any of those cutscenes, but there's a ton of them in there. So with this new cinematic replay feature, you'll be able to, yes, you'll be able to equip your Bikini Valby or Viesa, and you'll be able to play those animations, but also like if you have a character you really like or something that you're really into, you can actually play those and see your characters in those animations, hopefully even with the new Haley rescue mission where we have some cool presentations. Next, they're also allowing each character to set their own spawn effect individually. This is something that is absolutely huge. Some people just really like to have their theme for one character, and a lot of these are heavily themed, right? Like some people like the magical moment Sailor Moon kind of teleport, but maybe it doesn't fit for Ajax, but maybe it does for SEM SCMO, that kind of thing. Or maybe you want the elemental, like lightning teleport for Bunny, but you don't want it for Viessa, who's cold. Now as you start collecting more of these spawn effects from battle passes, from store purchases, if you are someone who is paying money to unlock the cosmetics in the game, you'll be able to select each character with their own individual custom spawn animation, and it'll be for that character, which I think makes things a lot cleaner. Lastly, they're going to be adding in new ultimate bundles. They don't mention exactly what this means, so there's some speculation here on what this is actually going to be, and they also will be adding a new web event. I'm hoping this is a replacement for the current like invasion bonus, login bonus. Usually in Korea, this is a very big thing in Korea, where they have web events where they'll usually do like some kind of web thing where you log in inside of the game. There's a web pop-up like on some kind of browser. You collect rewards, you play some little mini game, you spin a wheel, and you get loot every single day. It's a way for people to be engaged with the game, and a lot of times web integrations are a big part of Korean games in general. So when they say new web event, I'm guessing they just mean that a new event is going to be added into the game. Since the current one is ending today, we'll have to see exactly where that goes and what the new event is, because honestly, thinking about not having the daily bonuses for the Descendants, or especially not having the proficiency bonus to dungeons, the way it stands right now, I actually think that the current amount of proficiency XP you get from dungeons should be the new baseline, and then we should be adding events on top of that, because losing 50% of the current proficiency XP in the current dungeons, I think is a little bit unacceptable. It's not even like crazy fast as it is right now. You still have to do a like 8 to 10 dungeons to max out weapons. It's still a lot. So you really need to make sure that the next event is really good. Next, as I mentioned yesterday, a lot of these items are going to be removed to tonight. So like tonight at midnight Pacific time, all these are going away. So if you want to get any of the current ultimate bundles for any of the 5 starter ultimate characters, I know I misspoke it yesterday, but it's Bunny, Ajax, Lepic, Viessa, and Glay. Those are the 5 starting ultimates. All of their skins and their ultimate skins are going to be, well, all of their ultimate skins, I should say, and their ultimate bundles are going to disappear tonight at midnight. The Luna bundle is going away. The summer skins for all of the males, Viessa, and of course Valby, those are all going away. And then the pink salamander back attachment is also going away. So if you want any of those, it is something to think about. And I don't want to try and drive people into looking at FOMO. It's a big thing that they use to help motivate people to buy things or look at things, right? So these bundles are what I'm talking about. These are going to be going away. We don't know if these skins are going to be gone forever, or if they'll come back a month from now in some kind of different capacity, or if they'll even split up these items into different packs or have individual purchase as an option for these. We don't know what their plan is for future content and how they're going to recycle, or if they will. So take that as you will. Like, it's very possible that these skins are going to be gone forever. Like, you won't be able to see them or find them ever again, but it's more likely that they'll find some way to recycle it to get more money out of the audience that missed out on the opportunity. So if you like the skins for any of these 5 characters, Ajax, any of the teleport effects or whatever, consider getting them if you haven't already. And of course you have the disposable income, but don't let FOMO push you into buying something that you don't completely like and aren't completely happy with, because I'm guessing that a lot of these are going to come back in some form or fashion. Now, they did also tease the upcoming skins here, and there's a couple ways you could take this presentation. They said that this is a sneak peek at the new bundles that are coming tomorrow. We don't really know exactly who all these are, but we can very easily speculate. I'm going to guess, just based on silhouettes, that this is probably Viessa on the left side here, some kind of Sauron looking Viessa, especially since she's floating. I feel like Viessa is the only one that's kind of shown that kind of effect, but this could very easily be a Glay. This could be a frickin' Freyna. It could be something, who knows? It could be any one of the female characters. Hell, it could even be SCMO. This could be the new SCMO skin with the rework that we're seeing tomorrow. This one could be any one of the mech style characters like Kyle, Ajax, or Lepic, though based on the positioning and stance, I would say it feels more Ajax to me. This one, it would be hard to argue on the middle, third from the left, I should say. It'd be hard to argue that this is anyone but Bunny. Even if you took the ears off, the motion of running is Bunny's kind of calling card, so I would guess that this is Bunny. And the one on the far right, to me, by stance and silhouette, looks like Luna, but since they had already teased Frogby, the Frog Valby skin, and looking at them side by side, it definitely looks more like it's Frogby to me, just based on the silhouette, the pieces that are sticking out, and the struts and that kind of thing. But it could also be a Luna or someone else. It does kind of have the shape language of Luna. She could be holding her headset. It could be a new Luna skin, since the old one is going to be moving away. away, but also could be Frogby or one of the other film characters. Or again, we're not 100% sure it's not SEMO. It could still be SEMO. So that's what we got coming in tomorrow, September 26th in the morning Pacific. They are hard at work yet again, trying to keep us engaged and keep us interested. So public matchmaking for Invasions is a big thing a lot of people have been asking for. Some reworks for Freyna hopefully solves Freyna's problems before Ultimate Freyna gets released. And then we get to finally get some love for SEMO and Kyle that hopefully bring them into the limelight where they deserve to be, because they are quite powerful. Their kits are good and they're very thematically cool. They just have some issues with the way their characters are made and function that I think prevent them from being super, super meta. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.